Meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone to the public hearing for the 2023 Town of Grafton Town Budget. I'd like to ask the town clerk to please do a roll call and then read the notice of meeting. Okay.
On me,
While you do the roll call, I'll see if I can get that.
Councilman Beaudry,
Here.
Councilwoman DeShane is absent, Councilman Hoyt,
Here.
Councilman Lewandowski,
Here.
Supervisor Gunter.
Here. Okay, the purpose of tonight's meeting is to hear public comment from people who wish to make comments. And we're asking everyone to be, I have no network connection, so I can't punch up that notice. Phil just recommended you read the notice of meeting, calling, you know, that it was properly announced and called for, but I think we can probably skip that. So, public comment from the floor. Just, we're asking everyone to please be respectful and let us know what your thoughts are on the 2023 preliminary budget. From the back of the room, David Buckley.
Madam Supervisor, I'm reviewing the budget lines for the town clerk's office, and I see we're in 2021, we set aside $650 for equipment, and this year we set aside $200, and with a tentative budget of $200. Could someone share with me how much money and equipment we're expending from last year for $650 as opposed to $200 this year, and why that number has gone down when we don't have the equipment to do meetings online and seems to be sporadic? I know that Councilman Lewandowski was a big cheerleader for that in the beginning. I know that Ann Collateral has taken the time to do that. I myself have taken the time to videotape these meetings for the public. Can someone explain to me why we continue not to provide that minimum standard for the people of the town of Grafton? Somebody?
Your question is as far as regularly recording meetings?
Well, I have paperwork where we set aside money to buy equipment for the meetings, and yet it seems to be like, you know, the country buffet where we pick and choose what we want to do. So how come we don't do the meetings, even budget hearings, planning board meetings? Why isn't this done? And why aren't we reaching out to people? As a matter of fact, if you get an email from the town clerk, it literally says, if we're not doing the people's work, then you're not doing the job. If we're not informing and providing this tool, which is the minimum that you could do for the people, can someone tell me how many people review these meetings when you do put them up? Does anybody know that? Madam Town Clerk, could you tell us? Well, you wouldn't know because you don't put them up. And if you do put them up, you wouldn't know how many people are watching the videos. Because I can tell you, Ann Collateral puts it up, and there's like 200 people who witness these meetings.
David, I'm just gonna ask you to kind of stick to the budget, just
No, I am
rather
talking about the
than,
budget.
and address your
We are
concerns
talking
to the
about
board.
budget. We're setting aside money, and I'm saying you have grossly underestimated the tools she needs to do her job. That's number one, okay? So it is a budget item, it is relative to what I'm asking, and I hear nothing but crickets as to why we're only giving this woman $200 to do her job. Does anybody not agree with me? I mean, Councilman Hoyt, do you think $200 is sufficient amount of money for the town clerk to operate?
If she says it is.
So that's what you think you need to operate your office, and you think that that's sufficient for a camera system that I know we've already paid for.
I don't know what camera system you're talking about. I requested a new laptop. I have a new laptop. I don't know what camera system you're talking about.
What line item are you talking about, David?
It's right here, town clerk.
There's only 4 of them.
I know, but which one are you saying with $200, because it's 2,000?
No, it says equipment, $200, tentative budget, that's the.
Oh, and then wiped it right out,
That's what you
okay,
set aside.
gotcha.
So I'm saying to you
I know, that's.
that no one in this town could possibly agree that that is enough money for her to operate. If we're only giving her $200, no wonder why we don't have these meetings on live. online. And it's the minimum you can do. Mr. Lewandowski, didn't you say that you were looking for transparency? And that was one of the reasons you started doing this. And yet it seems to be thrown to the wayside. When are the members of this board going to start being a fan of providing this service to the people of the town? Because it is the minimum you could do. It's the least you could do is provide an opportunity for people to watch these meetings in the privacy of their home without having to come up here. Because as you guys will always say, I'm never right, but you know what? I'm never wrong if I have to come up here and say things like this. It's the truth. You're shortchanging us. It's time to get this done for the people. Could someone please take the helm of this and provide a online system where on Facebook, we've already done Facebook. We voted to do this. And Mr. Lewandowski has no comment, doesn't want to add to it. You were a big cheerleader for this, you're not now. Would that be a correct statement?
No, that's incorrect.
Okay, then how come we're not doing this, sir?
The clerk received a new computer this year,
Okay, so how long does it take?
and then she has her laptop. And so to keep putting money into a line item when we don't think she has to buy more equipment next year is not fiscally sound. We're
Okay.
trying to create a balanced budget that makes sense for the taxpayers without just throwing money into a line
It's
item.
$100 camera, sir. Can I donate $100
We have
to
a
this?
laptop right there that can record any time that needs to be done.
Is tonight's meeting being recorded for the public, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Is it going to be put online for the public to see?
I post every meeting that I record, Mr. Buckley. If you're referring to workshop meetings, sir, the town board decided
No.
not to video them.
Then
Or-
that also
that-
is wrong, okay?
That's-
Go ahead.
That's on them. I post the meetings.
Okay.
If you go on Facebook or our website, you can find our meetings.
Do you feel that you should be doing this, all the meetings, whether it be a planning board meeting, budget hearing, workshop meeting? Do you feel that these should be out for the public to see?
David,
at
you're in the
any given
weeds.
time?
We're here on a budget to talk about budget and the line item. We addressed
I'm
that.
trying to get money, sir, put into from the
You're-
budget to provide for this. It is
You're
relative.
trying to go into a
No, I'm
whole
not. It's
separate
relative.
issue that could be
Are
handled
we
at any
going
other
to
time.
take money and invest this into the people's work? It is relative, sir. I know you're trying to dismiss it. I'm saying you're not giving the town clerk enough money. I'm not blaming her. I'm explaining how this has happened. Okay, did we not buy a camera for this to be done correctly? Who's not in favor of this? Who on this board is not in favor of providing this for the people?
I'm in favor of recording every time the town board has a meeting,
Okay.
for the town board, the workshops, the budget work, the hearings, the special meetings, where applicable, not executive sessions, but
Okay,
anytime this
clearly
board
that's against
meets.
law to do that, I get it, but planning board meetings could also be done, don't you
Okay.
agree? Okay, so why are we not doing this for the people? Because there's only so many of us here today,
That
and.
I think you should wait till the workshop meeting and bring those concerns
No,
to the
I'm
next
just
workshop.
concerned up here at the budget.
I
hearing.
understand, but
That's all I have time for.
you're,
No, I'm not. I know you guys
You
want to
can't
take the idea
comment
of doing
workshop.
something that's not right, but it is. This is my reason.
so there's that, you can't comment at a workshop meeting, so you can't do
Okay, so
that.
this is the venue for it. So we're gonna create the idea that I can't say it here, we might not wanna talk about it here. This is the time to talk about it. You need to invest this into it.
We have it already,
Somebody
we have
needs-
the equipment already to do it.
Why
It
don't
just
we-
needs to be done, it needs to be done, I agree with you, I agree with that statement. It needs to be done, every meeting that the town board has should be recorded.
And I'm asking also about the planning board meetings.
We can discuss that at a later date.
It's like pulling teeth, just for the simplest.
No, it's not, we just want to keep on target with the with going over the
Okay,
budget.
if you guys do your budget hearings and still don't do the work for the people, you guys are real good at telling me how much time I got, but we can't get the meetings online for people. So I want to salute you for, tell me how much time I have, but we gotta start doing the people's work. And it's just not me. Some people are frustrated over this. Okay, so here, my 5 minutes is up, and hopefully you guys will start doing, the right thing. It's sad.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Other comments? Mrs. Boyer?
I wanted to, when you did the tentative budget, I like the way you did the tentative budget, and I wanted to thank you for that, because you put it in as like a wish list. This is what everybody asked for, and this is what it would do to us as far as tax increases. And then, you had a place to start, and you guys worked from there. And I think that was a very good idea. what you have come up with, I think is a good solid budget. I do have a couple of questions more that I don't understand. And I know there's an issue where you're trying to break out each building. But under buildings, we spent $110,000 in 2021. And I don't see, and it's now down to 30,000. I do understand where you're charging some to the ambulance, to the senior center. I understand that, but I don't see where a total of $110,000 is somewhere in this budget. I just wanna make sure it's covered, all those expenses. I can look at the department for the aging, what I put in for the Merrymakers, cause up until this year, it was always the Merrymakers. And this is line item A6772.4. That was always only used for the Merrymakers, but now I understand it's used for like electric, it's on page 4 at the very top. Electric and heating and things like that from the senior center. But what I don't know is, did I get $4,255 or did I get $12,000 for the Merrymakers? You know, I'll be happy to spend the $12,000 if you want me to. I have no problems with that. I'm sure we can figure out how to do it. But if you would please figure out how, when you present a budget, we can understand really what's going in each line. Bottom line, I think you've done a real good job as far as not having the tax increase and things like that. I do see, and I was at the meeting when you did work on the supervisor secretary salary, and I do see that that was taken, that line item was taken out. I do understand that we're in a strange situation in our world. At this point in time, nobody knows what's going to happen as far as our prices and things. And I do appreciate the work that Erica has done here. And anytime I have ever come here, she's always been very nice and polite, but I do understand why you did remove it from the budget. I do remember Ray had, when he was supervisor, he let go of his secretary and there was no secretary for a while, long time. So he survived without one. So I wanna thank her for, you know, what she has done for us, but I do want to also thank the board for what they've done to come up with this. I think is a very sound budget. If we could just have a better model, of, you know, the actual breakdowns and things for the future, I think it would be very helpful. But other than that, like I said, I do want to thank you. And I also would like to see as much online, and I know that's not a budget thing, but just for my piece, as much can be put online is good. So, but thank you.
Real quick, the buildings line is a lot higher than it needs to be this year because of the COVID money for repairs that we're making around the buildings. So that 110 is not a true amount of what we've spent. It's a lot of it has to do with the COVID money we're spending.
Okay, so
that's why it's so much less now.
so that's really, it was spent, but it's highly inflated from what is a normal year, is what you're saying.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. It's a one time.
So that makes me feel better.
And then the aging, we have down the $4,255 for the Merrymakers, and the rest is for the electric for the senior center. The electric last month alone was $800.
Right.
So we had to put that into the budget so that way we could plan accordingly for that building.
Yeah, and just as a little off, is there any investigating being done to come up with a different budget model, or to improve the one that you have. So you can come up with those sublines. We always did. I still don't understand why we don't. You know, back in the day, we always had the sublines. And everything was broke out. There was the town clerk salary, the deputy salary, different line. And electric had, you know, everything was separate, and I haven't gotten it in yet what is going on as to why we can't do it now. It sure would make your life a lot easier.
I agree.
So I would encourage you to investigate that. Thank you.
You have a tremendous familiarity with municipal budgets, so I'd like to ask you a question going back to what you said.
Yeah,
You understand times are strange and none of us know what's coming.
yeah.
So you understand why the secretary's position was cut. How do you reconcile that with other support staff receiving raises within the budget and no cuts at all being made anywhere else? For instance, the planning board secretary, the board of assessment review secretary, the clerk for the judges, the assistant to the assessor. I just wonder how you balance that in your head, how you justify raises going there at all.
I can't.
Right.
I can't, and I'm not trying to pick on your people, your bookkeeper got a 5-point-something% raise.
Mhm.
I don't know anybody in this world who got a 5-point-something% raise these days. So I can't justify, in my mind, why raises were given. To me, the only one who really needs raises here is the hourly paid men over there, cause they are hardworking, and the work that they do is not easy. Elected officials, I don't think should ever get a raise for their term. I took this job at $4,000 and it's a 4-year job. Okay, I shouldn't get a raise for that 4 years, that's what I
I would
believe.
agree with that, I was just wondering how you.
Yeah, I can't
reconcile it.
justify it.
Okay, great, anyone else tonight? Ann Calabro?
I have a couple. I don't understand what the celebrations thing is. It says contractual expense. It went from $400. The actual spent as of July was $400. They were allotted $4,400, and they put it up to $4,650. I don't understand why that increase is there, and it doesn't have the percentage change written in. So, there's a bunch of them. So the library's getting a 14.4% raise, and it's not that I don't like the library, but if we're cutting other places, I don't understand why we're giving them more. And the youth program had got a 21% raise, which is a lot more than 5%. And she's cut services. She's not doing all the programs that she was doing, but now she's getting a raise up to $15,552. And then I want to say that the draft agenda for the budget, just before you did the resolution, was based on a false premise. It was stated that there were no confidential secretaries left in New York, and there are at least 20 of them. I've got the towns listed.
We didn't say New York, we said in Rensselaer County.
Okay, in
We said
New York.
Rensselaer County.
In New York, there are confidential secretaries. There's no reason why we can't have one. The big problem is that Vicky's only here 2 mornings a week, right? 2 mornings during the day, and then Saturday. If Erica is not here to answer the phone, I don't know about you guys, but it frustrates me to no end to call and leave a message and we'll get back to you when someone's available.
Okay.
That is horrible. That's not the face of Grafton that we want. If we want to call and get an answer, we want to be able to talk to a person. Erica fills that need. She doesn't only write letters, she doesn't only answer the door, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
She lets people in for repair, she lets deliveries in, she answers the phone, she helps people with questions. What do we do if my husband died, I've got a death certificate, what do I do with that? You don't wanna have to say, well, I have to call between 9 and 12 on Wednesday and Thursday, because that's not gonna happen. I go through that with my doctor's office, drives me crazy. I end up just giving up, and then 6 months later, I might get back to it again. That doesn't make any sense. And then I really think that this is a blatant, targeted move to disrupt the efficiency of the office of the supervisor. And I don't approve of it at all. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you all. I have the budget submission from the recreation committee, so it's broken down where they're gonna be spending money, so you're certainly welcome to take a look at that. But they submitted for $46.50. Mrs. Goyer submitted it. Anyone else tonight? Superintendent Bouchard.
Well, actually, it's Jared for this particular
Okay.
comment. For this
No,
comment.
you're allowed to show up as superintendent.
Well, you know, today Eric and I worked on a long project, probably 7 hours, something like that. And I will say this with what Ann was saying, is that while we were there, she answered a lot of phone calls and helped a lot of people. And everybody in this town knows I'm a big advocate for Erica. She does a great job, and she does a lot for the town. And I just think publicly that I'm just an advocate for Erica. She does a great job, and maybe we could turn it into something like a town secretary rather than a confidential secretary, so she could help out the town board, help out Vicky if Vicky needs a hand. And there were quite a few people where she, today, and what Ann was saying, she got the numbers they called the town. It really wasn't a town issue, but it was a county. She got the county number, and the people were very thankful and happy customers of town residents. So I just wanted to give her a kudos, you know, as Kathy said it as well. She does an awesome job, and she helps a lot of people, and I don't know, that's just my comment.
Well, in my opinion, Erica deserves a round of applause for the work she's done for the people of the town of Rockland.
I truly agree.
Alright, Leanna, I think I saw you.
I was just gonna say, what people don't realize with the budgets, both the youth and the library, is almost $2 an hour minimum wage increase this year. So, just to let you know, one of the reasons why the budget had to be increased.
Okay, it just seemed like a lot, that was all. I don't know how many hours people work.
26 hours, yeah.
Anyone else tonight?
I guess I have something to say. I think cutting my job down to completely zero, after cutting it from 4 days a week down to 2 days a week, will be a disservice to Grafton itself. A lot of our older people in the town like to come and talk to a human being. It doesn't matter, they don't call ahead to find out if the assessor is here. They're driving by and they see a car in the yard and they stop to ask, when will so-and-so be around? Is Jared around? Does Tom stop by every so often? Are there any board members around ever? And I answer all the questions to my best of my ability. I tell them when Vicky's gonna be in, I tell them to call ahead if they think she's gonna have to get together paperwork for them. Sometimes I've reached out to her. I've reached out to judges in the past when they've had people that have questions that I can't answer, and it seems to be something that's really dramatic that they need answered before court. I do a lot of different things that nobody realizes that people like a human being to talk to, especially your old people. I have a widow that comes in almost weekly, and she's been trying to get her husband's estate in order, and she needs to fax, she needs to copy, she has questions. Sometimes the assessor can help her, and sometimes she needs to call the county. All these people like a human face. Older people don't wanna go to a website, they don't wanna listen to the recording, they want a human being. And those days that I'm in the office, I stay over 1 o'clock a lot of times, because if the phone is still ringing and people are still asking me questions, I'm still here to answer those questions. And I think it's a huge disservice to the town to take away services that shouldn't be taken away. If the town clerk has a deputy, and the planning board has a secretary, and the assessor has a clerk, everybody seems to have help. The supervisor's office does a lot of things. why doesn't that person have support? And it does seem like that office gets targeted as, well, that person should do it all alone. So then are we gonna tell the assessor that he can do his job alone? Are we gonna tell Vicky that she should do her job alone? Is this going to be across the board, or does it always just go to the supervisor's office that they get picked on all the time? It's a disservice to the town that there won't be a human being to open the door and to answer their questions in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to add its punishment, and it's too bad. And at the end of the day, I wanna salute Councilman Hoyt for not joining in on the nonsense and choosing town over party. I salute you, Mr. Hoyt, and I thank you. That'll be the last of my comments. Keep up the good work, Mrs. Condrum. I can just imagine what you're up against, and I salute you, and I'm all for you. Good luck.
Thank you, David. Anyone else tonight? Okay. All right, it's not 7, but 6:29. I'd like to announce that the public hearing for the 2023 budget is closed. Thank you everyone for coming, for your comments, and taking the time this evening.